Have you ever felt like you're being drained by everyone around you? As if your energy is a bottomless well that anyone can draw from freely? You wake up in the morning already thinking about everything you have to do for others, all the requests you can't refuse, all the commitments you made even though you didn't want to. If you're here, you probably know that pain. The pain of always saying yes when you wanted to say no. The pain of carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders because you can't bear to disappoint anyone. The pain of losing yourself in a sea of automatic yeses. There is a deep wisdom that can transform this reality, and it comes from someone who dedicated his entire life to understanding what truly makes us human. Carl Rogers. He understood something that our society keeps trying to ignore, that our inner peace doesn't come from pleasing everyone, but from being true to ourselves. Rogers taught us that when we deny our own internal experience just to meet others' expectations, we betray our deepest essence. And that betrayal comes at a high cost, our inner peace. But why is it so hard to say no? Why does our heart race when we have to turn down a request? Why do we feel as if we're being cruel just for protecting our time and energy? The answer lies in one of our most primal fears, the fear of rejection. From an early age, we learned that being nice and always available earned us love and approval. We discovered that saying no sometimes led to disapproval, and our young brain translated that into, if I say no, I'll be abandoned. Carl Rogers understood that this fear is deeply human, but he also showed us that living according to it is a kind of prison. When we always say yes out of fear of rejection, we're not being loved for who we truly are. We're being accepted for a false version of ourselves. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to something that drained your energy? How many times have you taken on responsibilities that weren't yours to carry? How many times have you pretended to agree with something that went against your deepest values? Rogers invites us to realize that every forced yes is a no to ourselves. And when we constantly deny our own inner experience, we lose touch with who we really are. Here is the revolution Carl Rogers brought us. Saying no is not selfish. Saying no is an act of self-love and inner clarity. It is a gentle affirmation of who you are and what you need to remain whole. Imagine your energy as a spring of clear, fresh water. When you always say yes, it's like letting everyone drink from that spring without limits. By the end of the day, you look within and find only dry stones. There's nothing left for you. A well-placed no is like putting a protective fence around that spring. It's not to stop people from drinking. It's to ensure there will always be enough water to nourish your own life first. Rogers deeply believed in our capacity to discern what is right for us. He trusted that when we connect with our genuine inner experience, we know exactly what we need to accept and what we need to refuse. But there's a crucial difference between a no that comes from fear and a no that comes from self-love. The no born from fear is aggressive, defensive, laced with guilt. The no born from self-love is firm, yet gentle. It is honest without being cruel. It is clear without being rude. One of the biggest traps we fall into is confusing genuine guilt with emotional manipulation. When we say no and someone responds with drama, tears, or guilt tripping, our heart immediately assumes we've done something wrong. Carl Rogers teaches us how to distinguish between these two worlds. Genuine guilt arises when we truly hurt someone or act against our own values. But emotional manipulation happens when someone uses our empathy against us, making us feel responsible for something that is actually their responsibility. When you say no to a request that crosses your boundaries, you are not being cruel, you are being honest. And if the other person reacts with manipulation, that says far more about them than it does about you. The truth is, emotionally mature people respect boundaries. They may feel disappointed, but they understand that every person has the right to protect their energy and well-being. On the other hand, manipulative people will try to make you feel guilty simply for having needs and limits. Rogers invites us to trust our inner experience. If you feel like you're being manipulated, you probably are. If something inside you is shouting, "This doesn't feel right," pay attention to that voice. Here we arrive at the heart of transformation, learning how to validate yourself from within. Carl Rogers discovered that our greatest source of strength doesn't come from others' approval, but from our ability to accept ourselves and trust our own experience. When we constantly rely on external validation, we become hostages to other people's opinions. We ride an emotional roller coaster, where our self-worth rises and falls depending on how others react. But what if you could become your own source of validation? What if you could look in the mirror and say, "I know who I am, I know what I need, and it's okay to protect that"? Inner validation doesn't mean arrogance or indifference toward others. It means developing an inner compass so strong that you can navigate the storms of life without losing your direction. Rogers taught us that we all possess an inner wisdom that knows what's best for us. The problem is, we spend so much time listening to external voices that we lose touch with our own. Start small. The next time someone makes a request, pause before responding automatically. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, how do I really feel about this? What is my inner wisdom telling me? When you begin to say no with love and firmness, something magical happens. Your energy stops leaking. You start to feel more whole, more present in your own life. At first, people around you might find this change strange. Some may even test your new boundaries. But something interesting happens. The people who truly care about you will respect and even admire your new stance. Carl Rogers showed us that when we are authentic, we attract more genuine relationships. When we stop pretending to be something we're not, people begin to connect with our true essence. Your inner peace is non-negotiable. It's not something you can sacrifice just to keep others comfortable. It is your most precious asset. And protecting it is not only an act of self-love, but paradoxically, an act of love toward others as well. Because when you are at peace with yourself, you have so much more to offer, genuinely. When you care for your own energy, you can be truly present in the moments you choose to share. Here is my invitation to you. Identify one area of your life where you need to set clearer boundaries. It could be at work, in your relationships, with family, or even with yourself. It doesn't have to be a dramatic change. Start with small, honest no's. Practice tuning into your inner experience before responding to others' requests. Notice how different it feels to make decisions based on what you truly feel, not on what you think you should feel. And remember, you don't need to justify your boundaries with a long explanation. "I can't do that right now" is a complete response. "That's not something I can take on" is perfectly valid. Rogers had deep trust in our potential for growth. He believed that when we create the right conditions, including healthy boundaries, our true nature naturally begins to bloom. Your inner peace is not selfish. It is a prerequisite for living authentically and building genuine relationships. It is your most fundamental right and your most valuable gift. Start today. Start small, but start. Your inner peace is waiting for you on the other side of a well-given no. If this video touched your heart, leave a like so more people can find this message. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to protect their energy. And if you want to continue this journey of self-awareness and personal growth, subscribe to the channel. Every week I bring you new content to help you live more authentically and in peace with yourself.